everybody, it is Julie. Welcome back to Pages and Pens. Today I am here with an AuthorTube video. It is the Meet My Main Character tag, and I'm very excited to talk to you about her. I love her. I mean, I've been thinking about her for the last 4+ years, so I've spent plenty of time with her, but just kind of having a general idea of her is not the same as having been writing in her point of view for the last, several months. So this is going to be about Aisling, and Aisling is my main character in a right now trilogy, might be series, not quite sure. Could be a duology. We're gonna see how the continuation of these books goes as I write them, but right now I've got about 3 books fleshed out, and we'll see where it goes from there. She's a lot like me in a lot of ways and a lot different than me in a lot of ways, but Ash is strong, sarcastic, and funny, and a lot of things that I am. She doesn't take any bullshit, but she gets easily overwhelmed by things and does have like some anxiety kind of issues, which I do too, but in general is just this amazing, amazing character who, it's hard to kind of talk about who she is and the role that she plays without giving away spoilers, but in my world, for these books, there are witches, there are fae, there is this kind of overlap between the two worlds. Fairy kind of runs parallel to our world. The high fae, the court fae, are able to kind of enter and go as they please between the two worlds, although they really don't. For the most part, they stay in fairy, except for those naughty princes and princesses who want to come over here and kind of cohort with some of the humans. And Ash knows nothing about them for the beginning part of the books. And then there's also this magical element to the world. It's also set in our world, so Ash kind of only knows about magic where it comes to tarot and Wicca and things that are in our world now. But there's also this kind of wild elemental magic that she doesn't know much about that she ends up possessing. So there's a lot of different magical elements to the book, and then this fantasy fae world that kind of mingle all in one. And Ash kind of finds herself torn between both of those worlds, kind of important in both of them in different ways, and doesn't really know her role, doesn't know where she fits into the things, doesn't really know how things are going to play out for her. And she is experiencing this new relationship with a guy who ends up being a lot more important to her than she originally anticipated when she started dating him. There's all these kind of like different components to her character and the storyline and the world, and I'm going to give my best description of some of these questions as I talk about my main character without giving away any spoilers about the book and about the series and about the progression of the series, because obviously I want you guys to be able to read it and enjoy it new and fresh and experience Aisling in, all of her glory. There are multiple POVs in my book. You also get Riordan. Riordan is Ash's love interest, and he also becomes important to her in other ways as well. Riordan is still, you still get his POV, but Ash is still my main character, but Riordan ends up being incredibly important and dynamic and complex. He's got a troubled backstory as well that's revealed throughout the book 1, but he is a transplant to the US from Ireland after his parents tragically die. An adult, but he has a falling out with his brother who is older than him and just kind of on a different life path, and he doesn't want to stay in Ireland, kind of on his own, and he has family here. His aunt, his mother's sister, has come over to the US. He decides to come over here and live with her because he just needs space from his brother. He needs space from home and kind of the tragedy that befell his parents. So he's over here in the US now. I'm going to be answering these questions, or at least I've pulled books to answer these questions for Ash, but I might answer them for Riordan as well, kind of off the top of my head as I go, so we'll see how that goes. But I did pull different things for Ash specifically, so we'll see if I can answer for Riordan off the top of my head. I think I can, but we'll see how it goes. So let's jump right into this. This is an original tag from Cam at Wolf Shop Publishing, and this is the Meet My Main Character tag. I saw this on Allie's channel, actually from Hardback Quarter, and she encouraged me to go ahead and do this. I'm rambling for a while now, but I wanted to give you some backstory on Riordan and Aisling and let you know a little bit about them before I started answering questions in their perspective so that you understood them a little bit better. The first question is, which character from a popular book or series would make a good best friend for your main main character. I love Ash's best friend in the books, Letty, Charlotte. I think that she could probably benefit from somebody who understood her position in the world a little bit better. So I think that somebody like Carew, who is kind of torn again between two worlds from Daughter of Smoke and Bone, trying to find her place in both of them, I think that she could be a really interesting friend for Aisling, and definitely has a different skill set and world and character than Ash, but they could probably learn from each other a lot. Similarly, I also thought that Aisling from the Wicked Lovely series would be a great choice as well. Aisling in this series is actually the inspiration for Aisling's name in my series. Aisling in this one is spelled differently than in my particular book series, but it's said exactly the same. Aisling in Wicked Lovely is kind of thrown into the world of Fae without really knowing what she's getting into, but she's always been able to see them, so she kind of knows a little bit about their world. She knows more about their political system by the end of the series. My Aisling is very much, you know, new to Fae and Fairy, and has no idea how their world works and is learning as she goes, and it's a struggle for her. So I think that the two of them could probably really help each other out a lot. Kind of went more for like, girl, I get you, more than a balancing of personalities. I went more for like, you can help me, please love me, teach me, help me, be with me, be my fairy godmother in this world. And I think that Ash could really benefit from either Carew or Aisling. Let's see, Riordan. Riordan's best friend in the book is probably Trent, and Trent is amazing. I love Trent. He was emancipated from his family at a young age. He's made his own way. He's kind of like a social media influencer. He's a model. He is a gay character who is also gauged and a skater and really punk, snarky and amazing and sweet and compassionate, but also kind of like rough and incredibly intelligent and business minded. And I love that about him. I love how like complex he is as a person, and he's like one of my favorites in the book, actually. So I think for Riordan, somebody that kind of is complex like that and has a lot of different facets could probably help him a lot in his struggles through book 2 would be Kaz Brecker. I think Kaz has a ton of different sides to him. He has a very compassionate side he might not show all the time, and a ruthless side that I think Riordan needs more of, and he'd probably kick Riordan's ass when he gets like mopey about certain situations. Definitely would not be like the sit back and chill kind of guy, but Riordan's gonna need somebody throughout this series to help him plot and plan and motivate him and keep him strong and on the right path. I think Kaz would actually be a really cool friend for him. And then number 2, which character from a popular book or series would you think would give your main character an interesting fight? Aisling, I said either Nikolai or the Darkling. I think both of them are conniving and sarcastic and dark, and Ash is very sarcastic, but she's bright and kind of light, and I think that she would definitely give these guys what for. I think she'd call them out. She has no problems letting you know if you're being a douche tool or if you're just like way overstepping your bounds, and I feel like both of them would be a little bit offset by her approach to their threats. They would be really interesting for battles. I would love to see Riordan go up against Nesta or even Aelin, Throne of Glass or Court of Thorns and Roses. I think both Aelin and Nesta would just have him absolutely like flummoxed and confused and like blushing and nervous, but I think that he would also just be like really amusing fighting them. Question number 3, which character from a popular book series would make a good romantic interest for your main character? For Aisling, I had 2. I said that Ellery from the Hazelwood, he's kind of like the sidekick, almost looks like he might be a love interest in this book. He is very well versed in the fantasy world in this particular book, just fairy tales in general, and he has this blind faith that things are probably real when everybody else thinks that they might not be. I think that Ash would really benefit from having him as a love interest because he could help her kind of accept that certain things are actually probably happening and going on, and inform her, a good companion to her along the way, along her journey. I think that he could be a really cool love interest. I also think that Hunter from the Sweep series would be an interesting love interest for her. Very well versed in magic, but he's compassionate, but he's also ruthless and a little bit cold and a little bit reserved. And Ash doesn't necessarily go for the bad boy, But I think in this particular case, Hunter's heart is in the right place, and I think that they would be really good together. So I would say maybe Hunter from the Sweep series would be really good for her as well. For Riordan, who would Riordan go for? Like any sweetheart from like a contemporary. Riordan doesn't really want to be involved in the magical community, and he's kind of sucked into it. If he could fall for like anybody else, he probably would want to, but he's definitely accepted where he is and who he loves now. Ella from the Paper Princess series, a little bit of that brokenness to him that Reed has, so I feel like he could be a pretty decent replacement for Reed. Which story from a popular book series would the main character feel comfortable being thrown into? I think Ash would do really, really well in the Shadowhunter world. She's well equipped to handle a lot of the different aspects of this world. Riordan would do well in like nearly any world, but I think he'd be really cute in Eliza and Her Monsters. I think he'd probably also do well in the Paper Princess series. He could do really well in the Stage Dive series. He also does have like a musical side to him, so he could do well in that series. I just see him, he's not like over-sexualized, but I think he would get along with those characters. I think he could make it work in those situations, but he'd probably be more of a contemporary than anything else. Otherwise, he could probably hold his own still in the Shadowhunter series. I think that that world is like spread out enough between all these different kinds of paranormal aspects that either one of them could probably fit into that one as well. Which story from a popular book or series would your main character be completely out of place in? And for Ash, I said the Harry Potter series. Her world is just so different than that. It wouldn't make sense to her at all. I also said she would be lost personally in the Six of Crows duology because she's just not that kind of like ruthless schemer. I think that that world would probably just terrify her. For Riordan, he would absolutely hate Court of Thorns and Roses. He would hate anything like super high fantasy. I don't think that he would enjoy at all the Wayward Children series. That would just not be a world that he would be comfortable in, like traveling in and out of all those different kinds of worlds when he really just wants our world and a little bit of normalcy. He would hate that series. If your main character was sorted into a Hogwarts house, which one would they be? I think that Ash would probably be a Ravenclaw with Hufflepuff tendencies, so like a Ravenpuff? Huffleclaw. What do you call them? I don't know, but that's probably what she would be. Riordan is definitely like a Gryffindor through and through. I think that he's pretty loyal and proud and strong and brave, and he's like a rock. And then if you could meet your main character in real life, what would you say to them? If I could meet Ash in real life, I'd probably ask her to introduce me to some of the fae that she knows or gets to know, because some of those fae, man, I would like to know some of those fae. I'd also just probably squeeze her and hug her and love her and want to like sit down and like hang out, have a drink with her. What would I say to Riordan? I'd probably just want to squeeze him and hug him and tell him it's all going to be okay. I'm sorry I put him through what I put him through, but that it's all for a greater good, and he's going to find his place even in a world that he doesn't feel like he wants to be a part of. He's going to find something that feels right for him, and to kind of trust the process, and that I really love him even if I haven't treated him so great at times. And that's everything for the Meet My Main Character tag. And I'm not going to tag anybody because I feel like the people that are writers have probably already found it, and it's been around for a really long time. I'm definitely late to the game. But if you're a writer and you have a work in progress going on right now, or something that you've been writing or working on, even if it's a short story and you have a character that you really love, I think this would be really fun to do. So I challenge you to do it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this and hearing a little bit more about my work in progress. I actually have a work in progress tag that I'm also filming today that will tell you a little bit more about book 2 without any spoilers, hopefully. I would love your feedback on what you might like to see in my AuthorTube videos. If there's other tags that you're really interested in, or specific videos about my writing process or editing process. A couple of people have asked me for videos about my editing business and my other website, Quills and Keys. I will be having that coming up at some point, just about my process and how I go about editing and things like that. Leave those down below, and if I don't answer them in my next video, I will make sure to do a video on those soon. So hopefully you guys are enjoying a little bit of a sneak peek into my characters and into the books that I'm working on. I hope you're as excited about them as I am. I cannot wait to get this one to you guys. And for now, that's everything. So if you liked it, give me a big thumbs up, click subscribe, click that notification bell so you're notified when I post new videos, and I will see all of you in the next one. Bye, guys.